Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What is going on, Coach Paul?
Everything's going on all at once. Wow, what a day. You wanted some volatility? Well, it came everywhere. We'll go through that. How was your day, coach?
It was a good day overall, decent day overall. Down in the Topstep live account today, looking to buy equities before the equities were really ready to bid. But then took a options trade later in the day in a personal account that turned out to be pretty good. Just catching a piece of this volatility because volatility was on the table for the day. So down a little bit in that Topstep account. It's okay. Good to start the week. It was less than a daily loss limit day, which is always good. Managed loss, and we just continue from there. But welcome everyone to At the Buzzers. Good to be back. I know we took a couple of days off, but the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. And I got to give a shout out to my guy to the right over there that said 2026 had the potential to be the year of opportunity in crude oil. And boy, was it today. We had a year in crude today. Coach Paul.
$38 range. $38 range. It's just hard for me to even comprehend that.
Absolutely insane. 40% sell off from the high of the day. Kind of sticking with the themes of all the other commodity markets that we had, right? Silver, gold, platinum, and now crude oil. 2026 is the year of the commodities. But let us know how you did in the chat. Were you up on the day, down on the day? Anything that you learned from today? How did you start your week? Did you follow your plan, most importantly? I'm Coach Jay. I'm in the Topstep Performance Coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades, and I'm here to share some of my experience and some knowledge and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for that, Coach Paul. Let's get into the news to start. As far as planned numbers goes, not really much on the calendar today. We do have existing home sales tomorrow. We have the WASD report for all of our ag traders. Wednesday, we have CPI. Thursday, we're going to have trade balance and jobless claims. And Friday, we have PCE. So as far as planned numbers go, that's later on in the week. We'll keep you up to date on those. But of course, all 2025, all 2026, the unplanned headlines have been leading the markets, and war headlines are going to get these markets going. We saw escalations over the weekend. We saw towards the end of the day today, the president saying that the war is going to be over soon, and the markets responded to all of it. Anything specific you got on the news, Coach Paul?
Well, in the crude oil starting last night with opening $13 to $15 higher. And then Scott Bessent saying, coming up with headlines saying they're going to sell futures. I mean, that was like, pardon me? The Treasury Secretary kind of sending the first warning shot that then Trump talking about oil and war is over. So some really heavy headlines that were stacking up, which creates what? Volatility.
Yep.
And I'm going to go back to our conversation last week about this market. You have every trade has to be measured out with a stop before you get in, because these moves are so quick. If you don't have that, you could turn around and be down a daily loss limit in an instant. So focus on it with those headlines. They come out, they're random. They can come out at any time. Understand that, and I believe it's going to continue. I don't think it's over. And that's leading to volatility. So those are 2 big headlines that I was watching, and they made a big effect on the market.
Hey, definitely did. Definitely did. Let's take a look at the quote board. 36 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts. And today, to the downside, of course, that's the energies. I guess I shouldn't say, of course, because at one point, crude oil was up 30% on the day, ending the day down 3.3%. Natural gas down 4.3%. And heating oil, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 6.02%. Yes, you did hear that right. At one point, crude oil was up 30% today. Platinum to the upside, up 2.47%. Micro Ethereum futures up 2.67%. And silver, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 3.1%. To talk about our big four, we mentioned crude already, down 3.15. The S&P up 0.6%. Gold down 0.18%. And the NASDAQ up 1.08% on the day. It almost feels wrong to start with the equities today. So, so I'm going to
I
start
leave
with
it to
crude
you.
oil.
I can't see the chart. If you could
I
bring
just
that
sent
up
them to you.
again.
You should have them in video.
All right. Not yet.
Just check that video screen.
Oh, there it is.
Yep,
All
there you
right.
go.
All right. Well, let's look at this daily. I mean, through all this drama, a $38 range, we didn't take out Friday's low. I would have said that. I kind of, I look back, I didn't believe it. I'm like, what? So this structure is still solid. It's got a nasty wick, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. This could, let's watch tomorrow's range compared to Friday and see if this is a blow off top. Compared to the, what was that, 2021?
2022, around the same time, March of 2022, we were up here trading. This is March 7th, 2022. What's today? March 9th, 2 days off. Uh, and that was a Monday.
Wow,
Interesting. This is like
very interesting.
very interesting. Much smaller range
Well,
then, but pat- patterns repeat themselves.
so let's look at tomorrow. We'll see what kind of action brings. If it, what yesterday, Friday's high, if we stay underneath it, we got a chance of an island type of top. Um, Otherwise, if this reclaims some buying, I think we have a nasty continuation. But since I don't know the future, right here, this is a big challenge. The price of crude oil's doubled in a week at one point today.
Right.
Volatility staying in. Can we continue, or do we do what crude oil? I mean, gold and silver can do: rotate in a range for 3 months. Not knowing that, we had some great trades today. If we go to the half hour, anything you want to add on the daily, Coach?
On the daily, that was it. This wick up here, we talked about this during the opening call, but that wick on the daily was bigger than the entire range of last year's movement in crude oil. So just to tell you, the volatility, daily ATR after today is up above $6.50. Of course, today's range is going to help that a ton, but you are not trading the same crude oil market as a month ago. It is different. It is volatile. It's presenting opportunity, but it's also presenting opportunities to lose money as well, and halts. There were a couple of halts at some point today in crude oil. If you were looking at the charts, you say, "Hey, why did it stop moving?" It's because the market stopped moving. It was way too volatile to continue. But hey, what is that white line right there? What the heck? All that
Yeah, funny
selling.
how. Like I said, we're right back
It
now.
structurally it hasn't broken. Same thing as the metals.
Yeah, structure. So we'll look at. We had the huge gap. It was, I think, it was a $6 gap, and a gap and run early on a Sunday night gap, and we took off. Now, I don't have the. We went to a third level of resistance through that on my pivot levels, which it rarely touches. We went through that, but we never closed above. But the key point at last night was, if we blow that chart up when we were making the highs and look at the volume outside of the opening, that top, when we made that high, That was the highest volume outside of the opening.
Hmm.
What kind of trade is that?
On a higher time frame, that is a J trade. We closed under it. It took a little while to close under it, and when we finally closed under it, it fell apart. But I really liked this one to the short side, crude oil to the short side, because of this structure up here, Coach Paul. By the time we got to trade it for the New York session, right? I wasn't trading crude last night. Wasn't trading really at all last night. But seeing this structure here, like you said, highest volume, we get the reversal. The rejection happened at $120, and we were up 30, almost $20 on the day after the $6 gap up. Uh, it's
It's
pretty thin up
almost
here.
surreal.
Yeah, and it's pretty thin up there, right? Like, what is the likelihood? And I know a lot of people were talking about, crude oil, $140 as a price target. I heard some 140, I heard 160s, and I heard 200s. I was actually on the phone with my dad last night, and let me check the call logs because my dad owes me some money. Uh,
No,
this
you got to check that now. Huh?
Let me check the call log because he called me at 6:11 Eastern time. Called me at 6:11 Eastern time. So while the market was still rallying, he said, "Hey, with all this going on, should we be buying oil?" I said, "I get you, Dad, but you got to be careful because this is a commodity market, and as quickly as it could go down, as quickly as it goes up, it can go down twice as fast." And that's kind of what happened here. So, my birthday's coming up in a couple months. I'm gonna send him send him this recording. But it just fell apart, right? We got back under VWAP here from the full session on that confirmation of the J trade candle you were talking about there, Coach Paul, and we just fell apart.
Yeah, it was a new market after that because that first we have and we had a little of a smorgasbord of major trade um, signals.
Yeah,
At the top, we had the gap, open, run, exhaustive buying, J trade, rejection under VWAP. And look at that rejection. So it was a confirmation of that top. Why? It never, look at that. It never even challenged that. It slowed down. I think this was right after Besson's announcement.
correct.
Um, that was the first punch. And that was a roundhouse to the to the Bulls. And it staggered and got knocked out. Um, then notice when we broke in the low, first we wicked twice. But another thing is this is why I watched the close. The close underneath the opening range. That was right. I think that was right around what time was that?
This was 11 a.m. Eastern time.
What time did the president start talking?
That wasn't until later in the day. I know he was speaking earlier today, but he did say right before power hour, or right during power hour, he said, you know, the war is going to be over soon, and that's when it really fell apart. Right, we were already down from that high. We were already down $20, right, 20% off the high, and that's when he said, the war is going to be over soon, and then the market just fell apart. I thought what was really interesting in seeing all of this, and we'll pull up the equity charts in a minute, unless there's anything else you want to talk about in crude, but the inverse correlation between crude and the equities today.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect lead in, coach.
Anything else you wanted to talk about on this crude oil chart?
What big level here, the 200 moving average, and we wicked and found support. And by the way, in my pivots, that was the first level of support after $38 range. So as it's digesting, this 200 moving average on the 30-minute is going to be really important. I mean, commodities, this could just turn around and run right
Go
back
right
up.
back up. Go right back
I'm
up.
not saying it is. This is how volatile this market has become. That can be great opportunity or it can be ruin. Going back, you decide you need do not enter without a stop. I'm just saying it right now. You need to be protective of your capital if you're going to trade this.
Absolutely. And like you said, and we said it during the opening call this morning, there's a headline that could have came out that had oil trading back at $120. There's another headline that could come out that trades us back at $90. This is such a headline-driven market. What I want to ask in the chat, two questions. Who's trading crude, and have you learned anything from the volatility that we've seen in the metals this year to help you trade crude oil right now? Extremely volatile markets trade really well technically, but there's a way you have to approach it, and hopefully nobody's tried to trade this with big size. Was able to meet some of the Topstep team last week, and shout out to the risk team. They got their eyes on crude oil right now. They have to, just because of the volatility that we're seeing. So if they're watching it, you got to watch out. Show me the Nasdaq, says Ruanava in the chat.
Oh, one last thing. We just mentioned that. Look at the average true range in the 30-minute.
Uh,
Oh,
$4.
right up,
You're good.
just under $4
Just under
in a
$4.
half an hour.
Yeah,
We were what in a $4 range for a month
yeah.
at sometime at the end of last year.
Yep. We had, yeah, average true range on a half hour is $4. The daily ATR in the middle of last year was $1.50. Here's even, I got an even crazier one for you. At the height of today, the 5 minute ATR was $2.30 on a 5 minute. Again, look at the daily. We spent half of last year with a daily ATR under $2. This is not the same market as you were trading last year.
So, plenty of opportunity, plenty of risk.
Yeah. We are going to be talking about this crude oil move when we do our year-end recap at the end of this year. We talked about it last year, right? And the consolidation that we were in, I think we said it looked a lot like platinum did before it broke out, right?
Yep.
Here's the consolidation in platinum, then it breaks out. Crude oil is in the midst of that right now. Does it continue? We don't know. We will see. But again, a ton of volatility there. So let's do a little compare and contrast. I'm going to keep crude oil up on the left side. We'll bring the NASDAQ up on the right here. And the inverse correlation we were talking about, let's take a look at, I mean, you can see it here on the daily chart.
Yep.
Those are opposite candles.
Turn that NASDAQ upside down.
Yeah, those are just inverse candles right there. Crude to the downside, NASDAQ to the upside. And if we go to the 30, flip this back over. It's the exact opposite. Now, with that being said, Coach Paul, you know I'm not the fundamental guy, and you sometimes are. What ties these two together so much on a day like today? We don't see it all the time, but what ties these two together so much?
Well, volatility in commodities, crude oil, with a soaring price like that hurts equities. Cost Crude oil is the lifeblood of the world economy.
Right.
Still, no matter what. I mean, so what does it affect? Well, transportation, so inflation, production. Everything you touch might have some carbon in it, would directly trade the crude. So with a shock move we've been having, we've seen this weakness in equities. It's very inflationary, and the scary part, quote unquote, scary, or I'll replace because I don't like to use the word scary. The volatile part of that is this going to stop? I'm talking about crude. When is this going to stop? I mean, that brings heightened uncertainty to costs in equities. And with that, you get hedging, liquidation. So if we look at Friday into this last night's Globex opening, it's like there's a fear index there, and it's led by the crude. And as you see, when we started selling off in the crude, look at the VWAP. What time did the crude go under a session VWAP?
1 p.m. sorry, 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Eastern time. At the same time, Nasdaq was crossing above VWAP at 1 a.m. Central Eastern time.
So I don't need to know the fundamentals. I need to know how to the flow of the market. And believe me, it cost me an ungodly amount of money in my early trading career to understand that. What changes? We're day traders. We're day trading. When does that flow change? To me, session VWAP is one of the key points. It doesn't mean I'm going to make a decision there, but right there, what happened? Crude sets off the signal, and the equities react at the same time. So there is a, I mean, there's a natural correlation.
It's not one we talk about often, I think because crude oil is just always so range bound. But
Yeah.
when crude starts to break out, then you really start to see the effects of it. Um, I don't know the last time we talked about a crude oil Nasdaq correlation, but I'm going to put a link to a correlation matrix in the chat. You can take a look. Uh, see over the last 90 days. Let's see, Nasdaq to crude oil, negative 41. So somewhat negatively correlated over the last 90 days. I wonder how much of that is skewed by today and what we've been seeing, but it was a pretty negative correlation. But if you look at today, I would say that was almost 100% inversely correlated. I don't know. Like it was almost the exact. Honestly, I took a QQQ long position after the president said, you know, the war is going to be over. Because I kind of slept on taking the crude oil position, but it just showed up in the queues. So uh, really nice opportunity on all these markets. If you were trading soul markets last night, you were able to catch a sell, um, or in oil, or sorry, in the Nasdaq. We'll go up to a one up of the Nasdaq. I do want to, of course, we're talking about technical patterns here, some fundamentals as well. Of course, trading is all three of it, right? You got to include the psychology part of it as well. These markets are moving fast right now, and we've used the analogy before, but full court press when you're playing basketball, right? If somebody plays aggressive defense, they're trying to speed you up. Um, from a psychology perspective, try not to speed yourself up too much in this environment. The market's trying to do that to you, and it's easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah, and you know one other thing correlation. Look, Nasdaq finished above the 200. The crude finished below it
Hmm.
recently. Doesn't and once again, this isn't trading advice, but it gives you an idea of that correlation. Now, going forward, we have uncertainty, but today, I mean that flip above session VWAP, it was just the key. There it is. There is the correlation. There's an economic correlation, but in this case, this is order flow or market flow correlation.
Hmm.
So it was great examples.
Yep, absolutely. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq going into the regular trading hour session. The first, half an hour or so, uh, we did have some selling. I took a loss today in my live account trying to buy the market. I took losses getting long. I'll take that. I read the markets correctly. Maybe execution could have been a little better and been a little bit more patient. But to start, we have some initial selling. Regular trading hour VWAP does leave the range to the downside, but one of the signs that I think you have to look out for, because I know there had to be people, Coach Paul, that said, "Hey, we looked into the gap. Right here's the gap here. We looked into the gap. We rejected. This thing has to sell off." And holding that regular trading hour VWAP, sorry, that full session VWAP is a real sign, in my opinion, the way I trade, that hey, you know, yes, in the regular trading hours they did sell it initially, but how much are they really getting for it? And if they can't get below this regular trading the full session VWAP, sellers might be in a little bit of trouble there. It took a while. It took a while. It took, an hour and 30 minutes or hour and 15 minutes before we were back above the opening range high in the Nasdaq. Um, but once it did that, it was a pretty clean move. So sitting in this first hour being patient, uh, you know, maybe you either take some profits out of it, maybe you got short and took your profits somewhere in this, but it wasn't the cleanest open.
Oh, no, it wasn't. I got caught short in the S&P, while it was going while it wa Nasdaq is leading this,
Yeah.
and it's been that way for about a week.
Hmm.
Um, but they were both breaking. S&P had a cleaner break.
Oh yeah, it did.
And what did we do? We went to set now you notice Nasdaq never touched
Yeah,
session
it got
VWAP.
close.
They got close, and so I looked at that. I was short that, and I'm giving back, and it it isn't as clean as it looks because you wait for it. It was about a 15-point break. So all I know is it started turning. My winner started turning negative, and I had to stop above the opening range.
Yeah.
But at Nasdaq, and it curled above the breakout from the
Hold on one
3
second,
minute.
coach. Keep talking. I'll be right back.
The anchored VWAP is yeah, look what happens, we start trading above it, but the anchored VWAP never went below session VWAP. It tested the session VWAP. So this shorts off the opening were accumulated. There was buying here. But now it wasn't relevant until we got above that uh, anchored VWAP, and anchored VWAP started ticking up. It was turning. It's much more clear in the Nasdaq. So I took the Nasdaq instead of getting out of my S&P. I bought two micro Nasdaq against my two micro S&Ps and left my stop in. Now that turned out to be was a great trade, but reading the market, I was did I expect this to follow through?
Yes. Maybe.
Yeah, kind of yes.
Yeah,
Why?
like,
Yeah, I don't
that's
want to
okay too.
sound cocky,
Right.
but what happened? Testing session VWAP, which we saw here when it closed above VWAP, it did it with volume back at midnight when crude broke. I think look at the high of that breakout above VWAP. I think it was at midnight above session VWAP, right to your right. Yeah,
Around midnight central, yeah.
yeah. Let's frame that out. So I held that, and then we did close below a session VWAP, and I was short. That's the S&P. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's go test that. Okay, I don't. By the way, I don't know the future. I don't predict. It took me about 5 years to figure out. I can't predict.
Yeah.
It's hard. But what what did the market show? Rejection of sellers and acceptance of that level of that breakout. And that's where the buyers really started coming in.
Yeah, they did. And this is a good trade, right? If you let's say you only trade regular trading hour session and you don't even look at it, that's a 40-point sell-off in the S&P here, right? So the question is, and I've heard somebody say that 2 to 1s are good for a day trade. How much were you really looking for here? Right? I think this is where we were just talking about slowing down, right? Let's say you got short in the S&P right around here.
That's
And
where I got short.
that's where you got short, right? So 24 points and you got a 1 to 1, right? And now and Coach Paul just said it, right? The market turned around. That's fine. But I'm maybe one of them as well. I get caught up in this is, oh man, with all this negative news out, this has to go to zero, right? We're under the daily 200 moving average on the Nasdaq. It felt very heavy. But
Yeah.
sometimes taking a 1 to 1, a 2 to 1 on a day trade, and depending on your entry here and your risk, maybe you didn't get that, but uh, sometimes what we measure for, the market's not going to agree with. We were down so much already in the S&P that it was going to be hard. We were down almost 1.5% at that low of the day. I do want to go back real quick to the daily because I think every equity market that we have has tested this 200 moving average now. The Nasdaq back above it, S&P above it as well. The Russell tested it, and the Dow tested it. Now that is a test of a 200 moving average in the Dow, S&P, and the Russell that we haven't done in over
Since
200
May.
calendar days, 150 trading days. So, is everything all good? Can we just continue to rally, or are we going to get another test of it? We'll see. We will see. I think we can see it. These are headline-driven markets. If the war is truly over, Coach Paul, we were asking for a catalyst for what could bring us out of this range that we've been in, especially in the Nasdaq, and it looked like $120 crude was the answer, and now
Yes,
crude's
it
back under
was.
$100.
And it's interesting. All these breaks, we break overnight and rally in the day. Look at all those wicks
Yeah.
on the daily.
Oh yeah.
Further goes never like I said before, cover shorts quickly in equities. Over time, it's like there's very little time that it pays to be too short. And it's designed to go up. But here was a classic example of that.
Yeah.
Be quick, but don't hurry, right? And I thought, part of me said this time for sure. And as soon as I said that word sure, I'm like, you're not, come on, you've been around too long. There is no certainty. But yeah, they came after it. And look at the volume. Volume's been a little above average. So
Yeah. Huge range
it's,
today in the equities. Again, high to low range, over 1,000 points in the Nasdaq. Daily ATR is continuing to increase, and again, we haven't gone anywhere on a higher time frame. So, uh,
yeah. S&P, they had a daily range of 234.
oh,
100 is the ATR. So, I mean, these are kind of positives technically when you have the large range and you recover.
yep,
Um, the range in the Rusty was 147. The ATR is 60,
all doubles.
all doubles. So, if this war is basically over, which I'm not saying it is, then it would make sense. If it's just narrative, we're going to find out in the next couple days. So, wild action, great opportunities. And if you traded today and you lost a little bit, you did a really good job. I mean, these are kind of markets where you take good losses and you survive, you have a skill.
Yeah, absolutely. I got caught up. I was trading the Russell actually, got caught up just trying to buy it a little bit too early. But another one held that full session VWAP, held 50% of that initial 30-minute candle to the downside and right back up to the 200 moving average. In hindsight, clearly, what I'm telling myself is that I wasn't wrong just early. Be patient. Don't rush. I want to give a shout out to Cato in the chat because I made 1,208 today. Locked it up before noon and glad I did. It got really risky really quick. Great job. Great job. That is a nice trading day. Shout out to anyone who executed their plan today. Uh, uh,
Oh, one last thing before we leave the equities.
mhm.
We haven't done this in a while. Take a look at the volume profile.
Which market? You want on the Russell?
And we're on, it was better in the NASDAQ. Well, I mean, it's just more now. Let's start it last night and go to today's opening. Oh, there's the trailing. Look at that. that flip off the lows and then above VWAP, the shorts were absolutely trapped. And what
Stuck.
do I mean by stuck? Look at how fast the market's moving up, but the volume point of control is not. What that means, buyers had a reach.
Yeah.
If you were short, if you're just waiting for it to come back and give you a price, it didn't.
No.
This is when I say things like is your market order button broken? It's just kind of what I mean because I've been stubborn like this.
Yeah.
If you need to get out, you need to get out.
Yep.
Other things is buyers waiting for value to come back. Never got it. It got after the opening and then cash opening. They never got a chance.
That's when you hear people say it's tough to get in in the trending market.
I know that one, and I don't mean be trite when I say that. If I want in, I want in. I don't trying to save a few ticks. I've gotten caught in these now over a large period of time. I think it all evens out. To be honest with you, but when you put a stop in, what does it revert to?
Market order.
Okay. Key point. Going back to reading this market, that volume point of control never caught up. I was actually watching it to see if there would be a possible short. And look, it never did. So watch that. That is a great tool to watch on days like today.
Uh, really nice move there in the equities. Uh, Anything else you got there, Coach Paul? Or should we move on? If you guys also have any questions, put them in the chat for us. Gonna go over to the boring metals.
Uh,
Not
was
really.
it actually?
Not really boring.
Yeah, they're
They moved. They moved.
comparatively
Right.
well, and they move now. Gold. Look at that first. Well, let's look at the daily. Why is it boring, Coach? Well, we'll look at that daily.
It's stuck in the range. Aaron, right? Quote unquote boring. Jokingly, right? We had
Yeah,
crude oil 40% move high to low. The equities did what they did. The metals are far from boring. $189 range high to low in gold today. Daily ATR is 168. So these are still some huge moves, just on a higher time frame, not really doing a whole lot. But some interesting levels. That 3-day sell-off, 50% of that 3-day sell-off, 50.25. The low of the day today, 50.20. 120. So pretty much right there. Uh, really nice tag of that 50% level and found some buyers there. I don't know what time that happened. I was probably asleep. No, I wasn't asleep yet. What was I doing? Watching Paradise. You ever watch that show? It's a good show.
what
It's on Hulu. It is.
Hulu.
Yeah, it's a crazy show. I'll just say that. Who watches Paradise in the chat? Uh, Pretty wild show. But here is gold on the 30-minute. What are we seeing here?
A large. Look at the size of that opening range. I think, and by the way, if it almost looks like it was that happened in like 5 minutes. Gold market uh, is very, very thin at times, and this was with crude running to $120. Was at a time it rejected crude. Look at that. That rejected the white line.
Yeah.
And then we had heavy selling down to what was that price?
50, 21, 20. 50, 25 is 50% of that major sell-off candle.
So it held the $5,000 mark, and we wicked. Now this looks very much surprising, like the equities to what point? Because we had that big, big candle off that low back to session VWAP, where it rotated, found balance, but could not get over the 200. And look at how flat VWAP was. That's why when we talk, that's just
Mess.
violently unchanged. There it is, right there. So there was a good opportunity early for directional trade. I mean, that range was insane, though. I tried selling it. I kept tops that I lost few $100s on some tight stops, and then I was kicking myself. I need to risk 1,000. And the moment I said that on a one micro, what am I doing? And I stopped trading it.
Mm.
I don't like those kind of markets. It just, it's so easy to get lured by, okay, I could make 3, 4,000, but in this environment, it's hard to hold risk. It's so look at all that. What a gold! I think it was basically unchanged on the day.
Down a quarter of a percent.
Yeah,
Down a quarter of a percent.
back above the 200.
Silver, a
Almost.
little bit different story here in silver. I'm gonna be honest, chat. I have not traded silver since January 29th. Um, been 27, 26 trading days for me since I've traded silver. But a decent one today. I just think when I look at this market and I see no volume in it, I get that's a cause of concern for me. Now, does it still continue to trade? Absolutely. Uh, does it trade well technically? 100%. But when I see that low volume in any market, that's a cautionary sign for me to just be careful.
Yeah, to me, it means stay out. If in doubt, stay out. Well, there was no doubt why I'm staying out is these might this looks like a calm day. What was the average true range? Let's do it in dollars. The
In silver,
range, yeah, high to low. The range is the average range, yeah,
$7 and 72 cent range,
for the range. And now look at the half hour ATR,
82 cents.
82 cents. It's about $450 on a micro. Well, be beware.
For sure. It's calmed down from where it was. That was, above $2 at one point on the 30 minute, above $4 at one point. So it's calmed down, but maybe you still do find some opportunity there. Davey4119, comment of the day in the chat. Coach Jay and Coach Paul deserve more than 38 likes, guys. If you can do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Tell your friends and like and subscribe. We appreciate you all being here. Reviewing some of these markets for the day, the crazy volatility that we saw. I'm seeing oil down 7% right now. It's continuing to sell as we speak. Uh,
Yeah.
Wild day. Wild day. Any other markets, Coach Paul, we want to talk about? We went through the big four. Anything else on your radar? Anything on your scouting report?
No, the scouting part. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, starting with the daily. All right. Now, we're still settling above that J trade from the low. And we are what? We're basing, rotating. But look at the 20-day moving average. It's flattening out after this free fall. It's starting to build a case that the bottom is here for now. Now, this isn't trading advice, so once again, but observation. It was since that J trade. I think that was February, first day of February.
This one
We've
here?
stayed range. Yeah,
Yeah, we're in that range.
We're in that range at the halfway point. Everything's slowing down. Average true range is slowing down. The momentum is slowing down to the downside. We're in rotation. What's going to take us out of it? Break closing above this range. All right. And we'll start, and it's being either shorts are come closing up or the selling is slowed down for sure. This has the beginnings of a DNA of a bottom,
Mm.
but it's in a range. Trade accordingly. But the thing that comes to my mind when I see charts like this is got it's not breaking. In the history of Bitcoin, it breaks hard, hard, hard till it doesn't anymore.
Yep.
And what does it do? Because that is designed to be to go up. But interesting, I'm keeping an eye on Bitcoin. Hasn't broken yet, but the downside, look at the volume too. It's dissipating. So making a case, keep an eye out.
Keep an eye out on micro Bitcoin trading 69 150s here. I think that's it. I think that's
Yeah.
it.
So
Ton of volatility. When volatility shows up, you don't really have to go scanning many other places, right? And of course, there's still opportunity in a bunch of different markets. I'm looking at the Mexican peso was up over 1% today. So there was some opportunity. That looks like an equity chart. Um,
it surely does.
there was some
Euro currency had a nice move too.
opportunity there as well. Looks very similar to the equity charts as well. So
Yeah.
again, you don't have to trade when stuff like what's going on right now. You know the environment that we're in, it's going to affect everything. So if you're a currency trader and we don't talk about the currencies, trade them. If that's where you see the opportunity, look at the Japanese yen. It's the same structure. Are you going to get more volatility in a different market? Maybe, but um, the bond market was moving today. Uh, it was really across the board, and I think it has to do everything with that. What what did we see today that we haven't seen in 4 years? Crude above $100. So that everyone's been asking the question, what could do it? Maybe it's correlation, maybe it's coincidence. I don't know, but I don't know the last time we've seen crude above $100 and volatility across the board like we have. So I'm going to say those two are somewhat correlated. But anything else you got, Coach Paul, before we get out of here?
Plan your trade, trade your plan. Be be quick. Don't hurry into trades. And number one, survive. All right.
Five. Uh,
That's it for me for today.
awesome stuff for that. Thank you, Coach Paul. We do have the president speaking right now, and he said he was supposed to be making an announcement at 5:30 Eastern time, but it looks like he might be going early. Um, got a bunch of comments from him right now on the Iran campaign. So far, so good. We've done a good job. Nobody knows who will be the head of Iran. We won't relent until the enemy is totally defeated. So, president speaking right now. That's maybe why we're seeing still some volatility in the oil markets. Slow markets tonight is going to be a show for sure. So make sure you join us then, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We are starting a half hour early. But before we do that, we got coaches doing classes in Discord. Coach Hoop, 6 p.m. Eastern. Coach Ray, 7 p.m. Coach Vince, 8 p.m. Eastern. Coach Dakota with slow markets at 8 p.m. as well. No London Open this week. Aaron is on vacation, but we do have metal markets with D at 5:30 Eastern, and then we're back for the opening call, 8:15 Eastern time. Uh, trade well, everybody. Manage your risk. Go enjoy the nice weather. That's what I'm about to do. It is 70 degrees here in Jersey. We've been waiting for this. All the snow is finally melted, so I'm gonna go spend some time outside before we get back to the markets. Whenever you trade, manage your risk. We will see you all tomorrow.
Ciao.